Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. The Nagoya 2022 basho is over. Ichino-jo is the champion, congratulations to him. I know a lot of people are thrilled about it. I think it's great. I think it's been a fantastic ride watching him get to this point. The imperfections in his game that he was able to overcome because nobody else could quite be perfect enough to beat him, that was a lot of fun to watch. Even with all the COVID Kyujos and all that, it was a really fun ride. This recap is going to be about, the fantasy picks for the whole basho, same thing that we usually do. Probably a little more relaxed than the daily stuff. Also, probably not at all edited. This is likely going to go directly up on YouTube with none of the dead air cuts that I sometimes do, because I have to go on a short notice trip tomorrow. So yeah, I'm not going to have any access to making videos, but I should have a computer that works and be able to do some research. And I'm going to be working on a script for a story about the 1932 sumo strike. So hopefully I can get that done while I'm gone and record it as quickly as possible when I get back. So, it still might be a couple weeks, but keep an eye out for that. I think that one's going to be fun to work on, and hopefully it's fun to watch. All right, so let's start with the small bracket. Obviously, there's only one Yokozuna, Terunofuji. He did great, fine. The Ozeki. Mitakeumi. So I said during the day one / prediction / whatever, that Mitakeumi had a very slight edge in my mind. I clearly underestimated the extent of his shoulder injury. I did say that I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't the best of the group. I did not expect him to be as far behind the other two as he was. Obviously, just shitting on Shodai didn't work this time. It made sense given his recent past, and certainly for the first third of the basho, he seemed to be living down to all of those expectations. I give him all the credit in the world for coming back around and kicking ass for the last 2/3 of the tournament, and it's really worth noting that if a guy has a bad first third, 5 days, that is a huge difference between having a first half, 7 days, 8 days. Because if you have a bad first 7 days, that's 8 and 7, right? If you're lucky. Well, if you have a bad first 5 days and come back around, well, now you're 10 and 5. Those are how thin the lines are in this sport. Barely making Kachikoshi versus, holy cow, he did fantastic, was 2 extra days of actually putting it all together. So props to him, and obviously Takakeisho did an amazing job. He kept it together, he kept his body together, and he did great. Yeah, Mitakeumi, oh man, I hope he's okay in the long run. Like, even if he drops out of Ozeki, I hope that will give him a chance to heal enough to get his 10 wins at Sekiwake and get right back up there, because if he has to go through the whole process of making Ozeki through 3 tournaments and 33 wins, etc., again, that's proving tough for everybody else. And if he's coming off an injury, I don't know how he's going to do. Anyway, Sekiwake, Wakatake Kage. So Daisho, his 11 wins being an illusion seemed completely correct. Wakatake Kage underperformed, straight up. He had 3 losses against people that he usually beats. Now, in fairness, I think it was Kirabayama he usually does not do well against, and he won that fight. But he did not do as well as I would have expected. You tell me his lineup ahead of time, and I'm thinking he's getting at least 10 wins. So 8, very disappointing. Daisho, though, yeah, he went COVID, so obviously, numerically, he was the worst choice. But I really think these two probably both would have finished 8 and 7. And then Hoshoryu and Abi, it was a coin flip. I said it was a coin flip, and really, except for Daisho's COVID Kyujo, man, all 4 of these guys could have ended up within 1 win of each other. That would have been a very realistic outcome. It was crazy how close they were. Oh, Katonawaka. Oh, we go to Maegashira 1 through 4 and Katonawaka. My boy. Man, I had my doubts a couple of tournaments ago, and he just started rolling people. I had my doubts, and then, he moved up, but he stuck everybody into the floor. He couldn't beat Teru, he couldn't beat Ichi, and really, after that, could you not see him just getting to 11 wins anyway? I mean, he had gone through the gauntlet, just like Ichi no Joe did. Now, Ichi no Joe still ended up losing fights. I mean, he lost to Meisei. But, oh boy, Katonowaka getting minimum 10 and probably 11 was definitely in the cards. So the fact that I picked him over Ichi no Joe in the games like Hachi Clash, oh, that felt so bad when he went out. So bad. But those guys were the clear cream of the crop in this bracket. Ura, man, my boy, 7-8, really good record, but it should be noted that he got a little bit of an easier schedule than he probably would have without the chaos of this tournament. So on day 8, he fought Aoyama. I don't know if that would have been in the cards anyway. On day 11, he fought Okinoumi, which definitely wouldn't have been. On day 14, he fought Hokutofuji. Now, at that point, you're going record for record, so then you kind of have to go back into the history of the tournament and figure out what would have been different. And there you also have Hokutofuji having fought against Sanyaku guys who he wouldn't have fought against. So the whole thing is a mess. He won all 3 of those fights. He got a walkover against Tamawashi, which was probably very much to his benefit, and he fought an injured Mitakeumi. He had a really nice win against Abi, and he beat Wakamoto Haru for the first time. So those 2 were very, very good wins. But getting 5 more wins off of this schedule, man, this was a little bit of good fortune combined with beating everybody he was supposed to beat. So good for him, but that even then, it wasn't even close to enough. So the Red X warranted. 5 through 8, Endo, my dude. Now, I didn't pick Endo, I picked Hokutofuji, and we'll talk about him in a second. What the hell happened to Endo? I mean, Shimanoumi must have been dying when he saw Endo got COVID and been like, can't somebody cough into my mouth? Please get me out of here. I don't know what was wrong with Endo. I don't know. I cannot even begin to guess, because he didn't look like he had some kind of obvious lack of power, because Shimanoumi had no juice, clearly had no juice. Endo wasn't getting it done, but he didn't seem to be fighting much differently. This was a lot closer to Meisei's 1-14, with the state that Meisei appeared to be in, because there wasn't anything obviously wrong with him. And yeah, I don't know what happened to him. That was a very, very strange tournament for Endo. Hokutofuji was doing okay. Let's note this before it's like, you picked the 6-9 guy. Number 1, nobody in this group got more than 8 wins. Tobizaru and Nishikigi didn't even get to fight the last 3 days, and they had more wins than anyone else in this group, which is just bananas. Now, Sadano Umi, let me get back to Hokutofuji in a second. Sadano Umi was kicking ass, like he was fighting his ass off, but he was, what, 2-8, 3-8, something like that, and then he won. He had a walkover fight in the last 5 days, and I think he won the other 4, so he won his last 5 to get to 7-8. His schedule got much easier. It got to a level that he could beat. Hokutofuji was the opposite. So he starts 1-3, very frustrating, but it's not the first time he's done something like that and come back around and had a good tournament. By day 11, he's 6-5. Okay, he looks like he's in good shape. And then he's got to fight Hoshoryu, Abi, Ura, and then Nishiki Fuji. And then he got COVID. I think he probably would have won. I guess I shouldn't say probably, but Nishiki Fuji went 10-5 with 3 walkover wins. Hokutofuji is the better fighter. Nishiki Fuji's going to catch him, but Hokutofuji is better right now, I think. I think that probably would have been 7-8. But man, he shouldn't have had to fight Hoshoryu, he shouldn't have had to fight Abi, and he probably shouldn't have had to fight Ura. So that's 3 fights that he kind of got screwed on the matchup. So I don't think it was a bad choice. I think it was just a really bad run of luck for him and Aoyama. Aoyama ended up doing about as badly as I expected, but for a totally different reason. Look at this. I mean, I'm not showing it. That would take more time than I have to edit that in. But towards the end of the tournament, so days 11, 12, 13, Sekiwake, Ozeki, Sekiwake. But he beat both of the Sekiwake. He beat Wakatake Kage because he always beats Wakatake Kage. I have no idea why that matchup goes the way it does, but it does. He's 3-0 against him. And then he got a walkover on Daisho. Other than that, he beat Shimanoumi, because everyone did, Okinoumi, 4-11, Endo, 3-10, and then he beat Sadanoumi on day 1. He did nothing. He had no juice. I mean, he could only beat the guys who couldn't beat anyone, basically. But he somehow finished 6-9. Like, even that was better than you would probably expect given what he was doing against most people. So that one made sense. And Sadanoumi made sense. Why did I not catch Tobizaro or Nishikigi? Well, Nishikigi, I mean, he was 8-2 and he probably would have finished 8-7 if he had gotten to the end of the tournament. Let's be frank about this. He has no idea how he went 8-2. I said this probably multiple days, if I remember correctly. He had no idea how he was doing that. I don't know how he was doing that. It was one of those times when everything worked out. Tobizaru. So one thing that happened with him and with Aoyama, although Aoyama couldn't take advantage of it, was that I did not realize just how many fights somebody at Maegashira 6 has against guys ranked below him. I thought he would have to fight the 5s and the 4s, and depending, maybe the 3s. And that's not how these schedules work out. I ended up going back and looking because this was not a thing that it had ever occurred to me to look up before. They fight the 5s, sometimes only 1 5, and then until you get into the record matchups, everything is below that level. And what Tobizaru was doing in the last basho was beating the people below him, beating the people who were not as good as him. So he was very much set up for success. And in fact, he started faltering when he got the harder matchups because he was in contention. That probably would have continued, and there's a good chance he might not have gotten past 9 wins, but he definitely deserved more credit than I gave him. Okay, 10 through 12, or 9 through 12, numbers. Meisei and Takara Fuji. So Midori Fuji, his lifetime high rank was Maegashira 10, and in this one he's Maegashira 11. So he was almost a career high rank. You just don't expect a guy to get 10 wins off of that. You just don't. Especially when 10 wins, like a high number of wins, like 8-9 wins towards the end, is sort of towards contention, puts you in a position where you might have to fight other contenders or pseudo contenders. For him to get to 10, very impressive, very well done, but totally unpredictable. Meisei and Takara Fuji both finished 9-6. Good for them. That was basically what you should expect from them at this level. Just a good, solid 9 wins. The fact they were behind Midori Fuji, whatever. It is what it is. Koto Eko was 5-5 when he got COVID, and man, that was not a good looking 5-5. He would have been quite fortunate to go 8-7. And for a bracket, even a smaller bracket with 8 guys in it, 8 wins should not be enough to win that bracket. So that, that's a reasonable enough pick. Chiyotairyu, 6-3. He was making me look real dumb for a while. But then, because he was doing well, the matchups got a little harder, also because of COVID, and everything fell apart. Just because a guy starts well doesn't mean he's going to finish well. This is one thing I've learned. Also the reverse, if a guy looks like he might struggle early, don't assume that he's going to do poorly for the whole basho. And Chiyotairyu just ended up exactly where I thought he was going to, like 6-9. Because once he gets to this level, he starts to do shitty. He goes down a little bit, he does all right, he goes back up, and he just yo-yos between like 10 to 14, that kind of range. Man, 13 to 17, Ichi Yamamoto. My dude. I'm so sorry for doubting you. I still don't think he was going to end up with the most wins. He was 6-3. I'm gonna double check real quick because I know. Okay, so he was 6-2. The third loss was his walkover loss because of COVID. He had to fight Fuji. I actually think he would have had a good chance of winning that fight. But I think that Ichi Yamamoto might have got Ichi Yamamoto'd and sent to 8 and 7 again because of how hard a schedule would have gotten had not everybody gotten yoided out of the tournament because of COVID. Now, do I think he's improved? Yes. Absolutely, I think he's gotten better. One thing I was looking for as he was doing better and better and winning was, is he doing the same thing for the most part? And are his opponents doing a crap job of adjusting to his very one-dimensional style? Or are his opponents adjusting to his very one-dimensional style and he is putting another dimension into his game? And it really seemed to be the latter. A good number of guys were fighting back against that throat grab, and he was finding ways to beat them anyway. It was really impressive. I think he would have Kachi Koshi'd easily. I don't think more than 9 wins was going to be in the cards because he started so strong. I really do think that schedule would have gotten too hard towards the end and he would have gotten beat down by better fighters. But yeah, he probably would have got that first 9 wins in Makuuchi, and I'm a little disappointed he didn't get the chance. Yutakiyama, I didn't pick against him because I thought he was going to do really poorly. In the video, I was like, he always just has that very standard, like, there's a double digit on each side of the dash in his record kind of wins. 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins. And what did he get? 8 wins. He finished at the high end of that. Good for him. He's safe in Makuuchi, but it was pretty much as expected. Like, there are some guys where, yeah, you might think they're going to get 5 wins, and you might think there's only the slimmest of possibilities they're going to get like 10 wins, but there's a chance. You just don't know. And Yutakiyama, it was like, no, I know. He's not going to do it. Daiamami is a Juryo wrestler who happened to be a division up. He was always going to get crushed. And Onisho did what he was supposed to do. He didn't win all his fights. I didn't think he was going to go 13-2 or anything. And he definitely lost a couple fights early that he shouldn't have. But once he got into it, he just started slapping everybody, did his job, 10-5, won the bracket, nicely done. All right, there's not much to say about the larger brackets. You know, at the top, obviously, Terunofuji and the Ozeki together. Teru, best choice, but Takakeisho did tie him. Okay. Wakataka Kage, 1 win behind Hoshoryu, but this was always a pretty good toss-up. Wakataka Kage has just been the most consistent performer of this batch. Katonowaka, Ishino Joe, obviously they were fantastic. Hokutofuji and Meisei, now for this group, obviously Meisei was the better pick. Hokutofuji definitely having to fight the higher ranked wrestlers screwed him over in that respect, but Meisei would have been at least 1 win better, I think. Hokutofuji probably wouldn't have got more than 8 wins had the schedule been more favorable. He could have got 9, but I feel like he would have just got 8. And then Onisho again, just smashing everybody. So yeah, that's the fantasy rundown for the full tournament. It's been fun. Like I said, I will be away for a while. When I get back, I am going to do a video on a sumo strike from 1932. And I've got some other ideas in the pipeline. And then soon enough, the next basho is going to come around. We're going to talk Banzuke. We're going to talk more picks, and the cycle continues. So have a great time while I'm gone. I will see you soon. Later.